Hello, and welcome to WERD Coach Creative Live. This is Shelley-Ann Edwards-Barran, your host, and I'm sharing with you, tips and strategies to help you complete your manuscript and navigate the writing process. So, and for those of you who have seen the previous lives, this whole project of doing the lives every Tuesday is an effort on my part to gain some accountability so that I myself can finish my manuscript and get things done. So, one of the main things that we will be talking about is this idea of being accountable for your writing, being, deliberate, creating that writing habit, as well as doing what needs to get done as you navigate the publishing process. Which brings me to the one of the highlights that I wanted to share with you. Sunday, we had our first workshop, and when I say we, I'm talking about myself and a colleague of mine, Kieran Isaac. He is the author of Poetry and I Am the Tree, compilation of some really awesome Caribbean poetry. So I wanted to really share with you, some of the highlights. Well, actually, the main highlight for me is the fact that the participants thoroughly enjoyed the presentation, as well as they said we answered the questions that they had. That was a really big deal for me because one of the things, being a lecturer, being a teacher, I am very particular about, if I'm doing a workshop and we're spending time together, then at the end of the session, we should both come away with something valuable. And the participants indicated that they did indeed come away with that. So, what did we talk about in that workshop? Well, we're dealing with how to get self published in Trinidad and Tobago. And let me see, I can bring up the flyer if I have it quickly, which I don't. But we spoke about completing the manuscript, some tips about that, because that's something, yes, you're going towards self publishing, and many people believe, okay, when you've finished writing, you're done. But that is not all there is to actually completing the manuscript. There is something called self editing, which you need to go through as the author, go through your manuscript and make sure that you are saying indeed what you want to say as to the best of your ability. And then you want to engage an editor so that you can have a second pair of eyes looking through the manuscript, looking for the technical things and guiding you through the process. Somebody who is knowledgeable on your audience and what your message is about, and certainly how to connect your message with your audience. You can also, this one is optional, but it's also recommended, engage what are called beta readers. And beta readers are the ones who would read through the book from your audience's perspective and give you feedback as an audience member, who would be going through your book, anything that they notice. So pretty much you want two second pairs of eyes. So that's what, second and third pair of eyes when you're going through your manuscript. Because remember, at the end of the day, you're not writing for yourself, you're writing for other people, and you really want to have that information out there. Now, what the participants got and would be getting, because I'm still sending them information little at a time, because sometimes all at once it'll be a bit overwhelming. What they're getting is worksheets for the self-editing process, and depending on what type of manuscript you're working on, your self-editing would look slightly different. You're going through the same paces, but because fiction and non-fiction are very different, you would ask different types of questions. So the participants in the workshop are getting that the worksheets for the self-editing, and they're also getting the beta reading worksheet, And again, if you're asking a beta reader to read fiction or nonfiction, the type of questions and the type of feedback you need to get would be a little bit different. So you do need separate worksheets for that. But you don't have to worry if you missed the workshop. What we're working on is to package it as what we call an on-demand program, an on-demand course, so that you can get the information and get that step-by-step knowledge and assistance in organizing your writing so that you can go through the self-publishing process. We also spoke about different types of editing, the different types of publishing, which I realized that there's quite a lot of misconception about the different types of publishing and what actually is available in Trinidad and Tobago. And so we went through that in a little bit of detail, making sure the participants knew which was which. And, we of course are advocating the self-publishing process, but that's not the only type of publishing. You have the traditional, you have the hybrid. And so we went into some detail about that, as well as we looked at, how to get your manuscript on Amazon, how to get into bookstores, how to get books printed in Trinidad and Tobago, how to get it printed online if you're going through Amazon, which is the print on demand. Amazon is not the only option. There are other options. So we sort of really gave, that step-by-step guidance throughout the process. And based on the type of manuscript each of the participants were working on, we gave them a few tips about, how to really go about it in terms of what length to aim for, how to know when the manuscript is complete, when to engage and how to engage in the self-editing and so on, as I mentioned. So it was an absolutely wonderful workshop. And like I said, don't worry if you missed it, you will be able to access the workshop while we're packaging it and making it accessible through that whole on-demand thing. So I would say probably in a month's time, you should be able to get access to that. And in the meantime as well, I am going to put the self-editing worksheet and the beta editing worksheet, I said editing, beta reader worksheet on my website. That would probably go up in a week's time at a cost. I haven't decided what cost yet, but there would be a cost for those who have not taken the workshop. But of course, those who are taking the workshop, that would be part of the workshop materials, so you don't have to worry about that cost. I mean, if you already know all of these things in terms of how to get published and get printed, what are some of the things that you need to pay attention to in terms of cover and layout and all of that, then you can just go straight for the worksheet and, get your stuff done. Because we're all about getting stuff done and giving you what you need at whatever stage of the writing journey you are. So, and as I said that, for those of you who are like just getting started and you really don't know what to do in the beginning, but you want to write this book, you have ideas, maybe you have some things jotted down, but you don't know how to bring it together in a book, then you can reach out. On my website, I'm going to put the link in the chat for this video. I do what I call author consults, and that means I can sit with you, chat with you about your manuscript and where you want to get started. The first discussion is free. That one is about 30 minutes. And beyond that, if you want to continue, then there will be a cost for the sessions. If you have something written and you want me to review and give you feedback, there's a cost for that. That one is called the Spotlight Edit. Then if you want something a little bit more detailed, like developmental editing, where I go through chapter by chapter, section by section, what you've already written, that's the strobe edit. And then there's the beacon edit, which is a combination of developmental and copy editing. So you can find out a lot more about that if you visit my website. I think the links are up and running already, but if they're not, message me and I'll share the details. We're working on the website is a work in progress because we're adding in these things as we go. And as you can imagine, it's going to take some time to get it right. But we're working on it to make sure that your author journey is a pleasant one. And in the workshop, we also shared, both Kieran and I shared a couple of the missteps that we made and how to avoid them so that you would not make the same kind of mistakes that we made on our journey. Now, the thing is, when you are kind of doing things on your own as a self-publisher, there's a lot to consider, and sometimes you might forget certain things or miss certain things. And it's really helpful to have a community. And so I know there are other communities out there, but there are some of us who, well, the kind of information we need and the kind of information we ask for sometimes is not so easily available. So we're trying to do our best to bring as much information as possible to you. So if you have any questions that you would like answered regarding the publishing process, please feel free to reach out. Let us know what your questions are. Some of them we can answer during these lives and on our Facebook pages. Others may be part of a workshop depending on the kind of in-depth nature of the information that we have to share with you. So, keep in touch and let's help you along your writing journey. So yeah, so that was the highlight for me to share with you today. The fact that we had that really amazing workshop and it reinforced in our minds how much this kind of information is needed. There's tons and tons of information out there, but as an author trying to navigate and you're reading everything and it just feels so overwhelming. It's really, really awesome having somebody to converse with, to have that chat with. So be sure to reach out, keep in touch, follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. My Facebook page is Word Coach Creative, that's for authors directly, but I also have Word Coach Youth, which is for SEA preparation and writing at the primary school level, and Word Coach Academic, which isn't too populated right now, but I'm getting to that because I taught university for a while, and there's a lot that students can learn and a lot that needs to be known about writing research papers and those kinds of things. So that'll be coming soon. We will get to that. But for now, we're working with the youth and the creators, which are the authors. So, all right. Now to my confession. Okay, so my confession is that I didn't write yesterday as I intended to. And I know exactly why. And that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today so that I can help you navigate your own writing journey and really get into that habit. So I scheduled the co-writing session. So there's one co-writing session on Monday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., and one on Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Now, when it got to that time, I was caught up in other things, and I looked at it, I checked the registrations, and I said, you know what? I think it's going to be me alone today. And then so I didn't end up writing, I did the other things. Now, while there should be some kind of flexibility, so you're not going to leave off, the important, urgent things to write, we do have to manage what is considered urgent, how important they are, with our desire to write and complete our manuscripts and then get published. So there are three reasons why I did not write yesterday. One, I was exhausted, one from the workshop and then classes and then meetings and so on. And I did not leave enough time between my last meeting and the co-writing session. So normally my Monday meetings would be 3 to half 4, but I'm meeting with a PhD, I guess you could say candidate. No, she's not candidate yet because she's not putting together her proposal. So a PhD student, to help guide her through literature review and putting those things together. So normally we meet 3 to half 4, but yesterday she ran a little bit late, and I figured that my time was flexible enough since the co-writing was 6 o'clock. So we ended up going from 4 to half 5. But that half an hour before the co-writing was not enough for me to rest my mind and reset and be ready for the co-writing. Which brings me to the point of making sure that you set yourself up for success. Because in order to be writing at the time you're supposed to be writing, you have to think about what is happening before and what is happening after, and put systems and strategies in place. So now that I know that half an hour is insufficient time, I am not going to schedule anything that late. I need, and this is what I'm learning about myself, and you have to pay attention to these things and learn a little bit more about yourself and your writing habits and your abilities. I'm learning that 1 hour is what I need, a minimum of 1 hour of not thinking about something else too intensely. So during that 1 hour, I would, maybe take a rest, relax, look at something unrelated, get my materials, make sure I have what I need to begin writing. And that is what should be done just before your writing session, and not, you know, coming up too close to the point of beginning with other activities that also take a lot of mental energy. So you want to really ease on that, exhausting yourself coming into a writing session. So that's one of the main reasons that I didn't write, because I was exhausted. The second reason I kind of mentioned, I didn't actually have my things together because of the change in the timing. Normally I would spend my time making sure that I have all of my stuff together to write, but I didn't do that yesterday because we went through one of her reading assignments and we were discussing many different things. So I had to read it first and then had the discussion with her and then send her notes. So I have the discussion with her, send her notes, and then to remind her of the things that need to change and all these things. So it was just too much happening at the time, so I didn't prepare effectively. So not only was I mentally exhausted, I wasn't prepared in terms of having on hand what it is I wanted to do and work on, and I didn't set a target. So that's the third thing. I didn't set a target for my writing, and not setting a target for your writing during a writing session is absolutely going to have your mind bouncing around all over the place, and then you're not going to accomplish as much as you would have liked if you don't have an idea of what it is you're going to work on. Because by the time the session came around and I kind of logged in late, then I wasn't really prepared, and I had to, pause and think about, okay, what do I want to accomplish today? And by the time I got through all of that, an hour had passed. And then I realized, you know what? It's just me today, so I'm not gonna bother. And that brings me to the fourth thing. Accountability makes a difference. And not just the accountability in terms of me sharing this with you. This is my own, stopgap and keeping me on track, so that I'm saying it out loud. Next week and Thursday for sure, things are going to be different. I'm going to plan ahead. Nothing comes an hour before my writing, so that I'll be much better focused on getting the writing done. But I also need that physical accountability of somebody being there during the writing time, waiting on me and, just encouraging simply with their presence. So what I realize is that I myself need to be there for others. So that is my strategy for making sure that I'm there and present at the writing times. I am going to be there for others. So the final thing that really sort of interrupted my writing yesterday was the fact that because I thought, okay, well, yeah, I gave off. I said, okay, I I also, I didn't feel good about it because here I am, being accountable and saying, hey, writing is great and let's be accountable to each other. And then I'm like, nope, not today. So then the negativity spiral started. And so what I ended up doing was spending a few moments in some deep breathing and positivity exercises to bring myself out of that. Because that started quite early, not even like the hour in. It started like about half an hour in when I realized, you know what, I'm not as focused. I don't have, I don't have a plan. I don't have a goal. I'm just, floundering. Then the negativity started to come in, and that because I was exhausted, I didn't have the immediate, pushback to the negativity. So it kind of sunk in a little bit, and then I had to work myself out of that. So the time that I could have spent writing, I also had to spend, regaining that positivity because it's extremely difficult to write when your mind is telling you all sorts of negative things. And once the door is open to negativity, it will continue spiraling. At least that has been my experience. So, what am I going to do differently for next week? And these are the things that I'm going to be recommending for you as well. Um, it's it's really about keeping your space clear and not just the 2 hours that you're going to write from before so you don't come into writing mentally exhausted. You want to have a plan what you're going to write, and two, make sure you have your resources available. And even if you're not writing and you're going to do research, decide on what it is you're searching for. Have questions that you want answered. So there's some preparation needed. And then you want to keep yourself accountable, even when, let's say, you decide to work with a writing buddy and your writing buddy doesn't turn up on a day. What do you do? Okay, she's not here, I'm not going to write. He's not here, I'm not going to write. No, you are keeping yourself accountable. So you are there and you are going to write. And then finally, always have a strategy for when the negativity comes in. For me, the absolute number one strategy is implementing gratitude, all the things that I'm grateful for. So and then I do deep breathing and some stretching because you want your body moving as well. Because remember, we're dealing with mind, body, spirit, that whole combination. So, I'm grateful that I have this opportunity to write. I am grateful that I'm working on my book. Um, and I'm grateful that I can be flexible. And sometimes we do need to rest. Let me just reinforce that. We do need to rest. So it's not because we have the time schedule that we are going to write just because. We need to balance that with our physical bodies and so on and not really push. Yes, there's some pushing, but pushing has a limit. So, um, so definitely keep those things in mind. So, oh, hi, someone has commented. Yes, definitely that grace. Thank you so much. That's the word. I was trying to remember it and it was just slipping me. I kept thinking compassion, but compassion wasn't the word exactly. But we need both. We need to give ourselves the compassion and the grace. And thank you so much for joining me. And like I keep saying, it's so wonderful knowing that I'm not just talking to everybody, that wide audience, but I really am happy that you're here. So thank you again. And so what's the strategy for next week? Well, I keep saying next week, but we have a session on Thursday. If you could join us on Thursday, we'll be writing between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And that's my time scheduled. I already know what I'm working on during that time. I have my materials. I already set that up. So on Thursday, I'm good to go. And the thing that I have before that, I do another live on Thursday, but that one is on really getting it done with gratitude. That one is streamed on YouTube. If you're interested, I'll put that in. That one is really early. It's at 7 a.m. But of course, you could look at the recording. But that one is at 7. We finish at 7:30. And so by the time 9 o'clock rolls around, I would be all focused and ready. So I'll be good to go on Thursday. The Monday evening, I'm gonna have, because it's in the evening, I'm gonna have to work out a way to ensure that I stop whatever else that I'm doing at least by 4:30, 5 o'clock ish, so that I would be mentally prepared for the writing and be much better organized. So, yeah, so that's the that's what it is I really wanted to share with you today. Sunday workshop was awesome. If you missed it, don't worry, keep checking in. I'm going to post up the information about taking the program. We are packaging it as an online course. Um, the the whole process of getting published and so on in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's a similar process worldwide, as you can imagine, but we're specifically dealing with Trinidad and Tobago when it comes to printing locally. But we will also be talking about getting onto Amazon, so that would apply to anyone anywhere in the world. For the, let's see, the question is, when you say writing, is it like literally us writing, or are we getting feedback? No feedback at this point, because we're working with just getting into that habit of writing. And when you want to complete a manuscript and get published, writing cannot be, I write when I'm inspired, or I write when I feel like writing, or I write when the ideas are coming. You definitely have to discipline yourself and get into that habit of writing. So when we talk about the co-writing sessions, we're talking strictly about being in the presence of other writers who are also doing their own projects. So when you log in to the co-writing session, you will be communicating only with the host. So when you put your intentions, you'd be sending them to me and not to everybody all together, but I will have them and I would record, because I will save the notes from the session so that I'll be able to check in with you and give you that kind of added support. And then I usually write to music, so I'm going to make the music available as well, so that you could write to those, YouTube concentration music, where music to focus on and that kind of thing. And then at the end of the time period, then I would message to everybody. I'll do it as a group message, but I'm going to ask you, okay, what did you accomplish? So if you decided that you wanted to accomplish, you want to write 2,000 words in 2 hours, I know you might be ambitious. I do that too. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. But let's say you wanted to write 2,000 words about a particular thing, finish chapter 1, add whatever amount to chapter 3, that kind of thing. That's what you would share. And then at the end of it, just a simple question. What did you get done today? And once you share it with me, yeah, we will all do that little happy dance, because here's what, 500 words, 200 words, any amount of words done is an accomplishment. It's more to your manuscript, and we will all be excited for you. I personally would be very excited for you. And I would also share what I got done. So generally, I would be the only person speaking to everybody, because I know, depending on the project that you're working on, you may not want to share it with everybody, but you still need the accountability. So that's what we're there for. So you'll be working with us. What you share with us directly in complete confidentiality, unless you say it's okay to share with everyone. But that's how we would roll for those. So the Monday evening and the Thursday morning. And of course, any writing project. So it doesn't necessarily have to be book, manuscript, novel, or nonfiction that you're writing. It could be working on your master's thesis or your PhD thesis. You could be working on a project for work, whatever writing that you need to get done. And you need that accountability. You could be working on some copywriting or even, social media content. Any kind of writing that you need to have that accountability, that someone is there to say, hey, what are you working on? How did you get through? And of course, with a beautiful smile to encourage you to get into your writing. So it's just like we're helping each other throughout this writing journey. Absolutely no cost to this because you're doing your own thing. All you need to do is to sign up so that when I log on, I know that there are people registered and that, I know who to expect because I'm not really interested in just admitting any and everyone. I want to know that you're registered, and when you're registering with the Zoom, you would give an email address, and so we'll be able to send you a little check-in. So let's say, for example, you join in this Thursday, but then next week Monday and next week Thursday I don't see you or hear from you. Remember, we're going to be checking in with you. So part of this whole accountability is me shooting off an email and saying, hey, you joined the writing session on such and such date, but I haven't seen you since. How is your project going? Are you finished? Those kinds of, wonderful check-ins that keep you thinking, yes, I need to write. So I'll put it in the chat again, but if you scroll through on the Facebook page, Word Coach Creative, or if you haven't already joined, you can join Complete Your Book with Word. I think it's Word Creative, but I'll put the link for the group as well on the Zoom chat, on the not Zoom, on the Facebook page chat, so that you'd be able to sign up. And then it's just a matter of filling that out, registering, so that I know, hey, you're joining me on the date. There are two separate registrations because you don't have to do both. You can do one, and then I would be able to send you a reminder, hey, the co-writing session is coming up, get prepared, and those kinds of things, so that you would be ready and able to write when the writing time comes around. So that is, yeah, I think that's about it. And thank you so much. So as soon as I log off from the live, I'm going to put this information in the chat so that you'd be able to find the information and, be registered and that kind of thing. And I really do look forward to seeing you at the co-writing session. And of course, you can check in about for feedback. If you want feedback, then on your writing, there are several options. So one option would be just a quick check-in with me. Like I said, the first consultation is free. That's about 30 minutes. If you want something more detailed, then beyond that, there are different options. And if you want regular coaching style writing feedback, then we can engage in that author writing coach kind of relationship. But it's totally up to you on what you need and where you are on your journey. If you're not sure, check in, register for one of the free consultations, and then I can help you, navigate and see which one is best for you. All right. So thank you again so much for joining. And I do need to run off because, I want to get some stuff done today. I'm supposed to check in with the Word Coach Youth about the SEA preparation. So I'm off to do that. And hope to see you, and happy writing as always. Take care. Bye-bye.